Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this episode of Business Class Podcast. We have been really fortunate with meeting really great and inspiring people who have built ecosystems, not only in Oman, even outside Oman. And we are very honored to have you here today. William Crew, Bill.
Let me call you Bill.
We're very happy to have you here because you complement really what we have been trying to accomplish with Business Class Podcast, which is share the whole journey of building ecosystems. We were fortunate. We have met very interesting people like the poet Nasr Al-Adawi, who has been a great advocate for mental health. We've met Mahmoud Al-Amri, who is building a Gulf-wide recycling and circular economy efforts. We've met with Fatma Bahwan, who's in the startup ecosystem building sphere. Hamoud Al-Hamdan, Mr. Ahmed Al-Mukhaini from Capital Market Authority. And we are very lucky to have you here today because I'm a fan of your work. And it would be very interesting for our audience to know more about you, of course. And I've been very impressed that you have really contributed very positively to building different ecosystems in Oman. Since you were first here in 2006.
2006 with Bank Muscat.
Yeah, as a consultant, and coming back in 2010 and starting Growth Fund even before the establishment of the SME authority in 2012. And from there, establishing Inspired Solutions, where we've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs build SMEs, and in an area that is really, in areas that are really quite interesting. And now with EIO or EcoInnovate Oman, with the help of not only BIA, who we really commend for supporting this accelerator initiative, you're also working with other corporates. So we want to thank them because it means a lot.
Absolutely.
For corporates to be contributing to building ecosystems. So please, take us from a bit about yourself, and then how did you get here? And building this great journey.
It's been a journey, and thank you so much for having me here today to discuss what has been an amazing life here in Oman. Like you said, I came in 2006 as a World Bank consultant in Bank Muscat to help with their SME credit division. And then I returned in 2010 to manage the Growth in SME Investment Fund. And then that made me part of the SME startup ecosystem. And since then, I've just seen tremendous growth. A lot of this goes back to His Majesty Qaboos's work in Balha with that big SME event.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Exactly. And since then, the increase has just been dramatic.
So for you, as your expertise, you have very valuable hard skills for any ecosystem in the world, especially in the finance and investment sphere, with a particular focus maybe on microfinance also. How do you see this? How did you describe the development of the ecosystem, especially with your contribution from being a consultant all the way to starting with Growth, which I'm sure it was challenging and rewarding at the same time, all the way to establishing Inspired Solution?
I've seen a huge increase in what I call the commercial maturity of founders and startups, and just more support from more of a societal perspective, in that many years ago, Omanis just assumed I will get a job in the government and halas, life will be good. And then there were those that wanted to be entrepreneurs, and yet there wasn't a lot of support at that time from any source, any family or government or commercial source. And then over the years, that has built up, in that there is much more support and a change in perceptions and attitudes. We call it changing hearts and minds. So hearts and minds have changed to embrace the fact that I can be an entrepreneur and I can attract financing, and that financing pays my salary, right? So I've actually created my own job. And I think that revelation didn't happen overnight, right? We both go back to the SME Authority
Yes.
in 2010 and seeing that evolution. That didn't happen overnight. That took an infrastructure, that took an ecosystem.
And can you describe this ecosystem and how it grew from your perspective? And it's very interesting also that you mentioned the hearts and minds, because you as a maybe a person from the finance world, I would have expected you to talk more that it's the growth in the ecosystem has been because of the increase in funds and cash flow. But you're kind of saying, no, it's a balance also with the societal attitudes towards entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. The money doesn't hurt. The access to finance.
Yes.
And that's something we do around the world, is creating access to finance for SMEs. Absolutely. We started we started the first accelerator program in Oman in 2012, financed by Omithco, and that was called the CEL program, and that was the first one. And now an entire infrastructure of accelerators and now hackathons has been created. So there's been so much support. And from a central bank perspective, remember many years ago, 10 years, 12 years ago, we decided that the SME percentage of the credit portfolio should be 5%.
Yes.
Right. So that was a strong institutional signal to the banks. They said, we can afford, or we're encouraged to take a little bit more risk, because SMEs are inherently more risky. That's why we have challenges to access to finance. So that has certainly helped the access to finance. So like you said, it's a balance between the societal support and the attitudes and creating, the mechanisms to support them. And we started with the central bank with debt, meaning the credit portfolios should be 5% SMEs. And today we have the Future Fund Oman, right, that's financing venture capital funds, is creating equity. So now we have access to finance for both debt and equity. Equity has taken some time, but it's certainly there. So we certainly have a range of financing available to support all of these up and coming founders.
And I saw also, speaking on the range of financing within this ecosystem that is built for startups and for especially the financing part of it, which you contributed in building. So it started with debt and also people getting funding from their friends and family.
Absolutely.
And have we also seen progress on other alternative financing, such as, for example, angel investment, crowdfunding, crowdsourcing? How is it on that front?
Well, we started the CEL with grants.
Yes.
So we had 10,000 Rial in grants available. And then you and I worked with BP Khazan, and there was a competitive grant program there. So those are alternative sources of non-repayable grants. So that's certainly helped. We do have a lot of angel investors, and historically, angel investors would be larger families, right, that would support and finance their own businesses. And that has branched out. And we do have large family offices that invest in startups and founders. So we are definitely seeing angel investors. There are actually more formalized groups of angel investors now. And a lot of these angel investors are historically founders, may have sold their company, and now they're investing back into new startups. So absolutely, we've seen those alternative sources. In terms of crowdfunding, we can't ignore fintech. We have all of these crowdfunding sources for debt that are online, and they're providing much needed short-term capital or debt for payment of invoices, contracts, etc. So that's been very exciting, and that's from the CBO and the fintech guidelines, which have emerged in the past 3 years or so, and the CBO sandbox. Yeah. Absolutely, has been very supportive to increase access to financing for the SMEs.
I totally agree. It's been really, it's always impressive when the legislators are supportive of innovation as much as they can, especially with creating sandboxes, as in the case with the Central Bank of Oman. You mentioned we start with grants for SMEs and competitive grants with the CEL, and later on with BP.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through how that evolved into your work now? For example, describe how that relates to your work now with EcoInnovate Oman.
Absolutely. So we started out in 2012 with how we say sector agnostic accelerators, and we didn't make a strong differentiation between startups and SMEs. SMEs are existing businesses that might have been around for a year or so. Maybe they have generated some sales, some cash, etc. And then through the years, we have seen specialization and bringing in the tech, the AI, etc. So today, we have a number of specialized accelerators. We have, and I would say hackathons. Some of them are in the space industry, right? Because we've embraced that as a national objective. A lot of these are related to national objectives and priorities, food security, for instance. We've historically had 5 areas of priorities in the industries: tourism, manufacturing, tourism, aquaculture, logistics, right? And then at the same time, we have Oman Vision 2040 and Net Zero. And at the same time, we have the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so we specialize, my company, Inspired Solutions, has specialized more towards fighting climate change, more towards let's embrace climate tech and green tech in the circular economy. And that's a specialization that I hold dear to my heart, because I believe that's the future, is that if we don't take care of our home, the earth, it's not going to be there for the future. And that's what sustainability is preserving our resources today so the generations in the future can use those resources, be them organic, like, wood and petroleum, etc. So we want to save that for the future. So we want sustainable ideas to be financed and circular economy ideas to be financed. And I saw this one day outside my office when they're doing some construction and demolition, and they created what's called construction and demolition waste. And that's just concrete and stuff. And in America, we would use that to make bricks and retaining walls. And I thought to myself, maybe we need to be commercializing that. Maybe we need an accelerator to do that. And I took that to BIA, and they were completely open and incredibly supportive. And so that turned into EcoInnovate Oman, and that was in 2019, 2020, when the first cohort went through. And the goal is to commercialize waste streams, first and foremost, to decrease the amount of waste going to the landfills. So just think about this. And we have diverted tons, hundreds, thousands of tons from the landfills, meaning that we recycle paper now to make different products. We recycle plastic into pellets that can be used for a variety of plastic purposes. So we're no longer having to use virgin resources or more petroleum. So we save that for the future. So that's kind of the goal of EcoInnovate Oman.
And it is indeed such a noble goal. And, with building that first building block with BIA, with the first cohort of EcoInnovate Oman, may I play the devil's advocate? Globally now we talk a lot about energy transition as well, and we talk a lot about energy security, and the whole world debate this in global events such as COP, for example. And there is a debate going on whether we as society should be dedicating our resources to finding and producing more energy sources and focusing our work maybe on technology. And even technology now needs more power sources.
Right, yeah.
Or should we focus on environment and circular economy, which in some people may consider a luxury kind of sectors? When you hear this debate, and I'm sure you and your partners and BIA and the stakeholders of EcoInnovate Oman, there was a bit of pushback in 2020 with the first cohort. How did that go?
Well, there's always the new.
Yes.
That we're not used to that. So it takes some time to embrace it. there was pushback. It was COVID. So that was kind of challenging for that to have an online accelerator, which doesn't work that well. So we had to go to the extra length to really see what we could do within what were the regulations at that time. But at the end of the day, we did prove to ourselves that this was a viable acceleration model. With regards to the energy debate, I'm firmly on the side of, I believe we will get to a point in which we have a renewable energy that could be desalinating water. And I do believe that the technology will happen. Right now, we have a lot of desalination plants that use natural gas, and that's a low cost energy, but nonetheless, it's not a sustainable resource. So I do believe that technology has a role to play to get us to that point. I do believe that's going to happen. I believe that anything we do to decrease our carbon footprints right now, to hit net zero 2050, which the entire world is worried about, I think that should be our number one priority, because this is our home and we're currently ignoring the fact that it's still getting hotter.
Could you shed a bit more light on the market size of the circular economy, particularly the kind of that you focus on in the accelerator, locally, regionally, and maybe globally? What size of market are we talking about?
Oh, it's billions. That's a broad question. It's billions.
So usually in the
tens of billions,
in the sum and tom of your how is it enticing enough for them to really attract investors? I saw that from the really impressive impact of EIO that you've attracted around $250,000 of investments from funds.
So we just had a pitch event. So there's still a lag when the investors are talking to the founders.
Yeah.
So that's our estimate right now. I think we're about 50,000, about 25% of the way there.
That's a really great roadmap.
Right.
So is it beginning to be enticing, at least for local investors?
Absolutely. Those that share the vision, right? So we didn't touch upon ESG, for instance, environmental, social, and governance objectives. There are an increasing amount of investors that use ESG or green credentials or what have you to make their investment decisions. So that they're actually living their or walking their talk.
Yes.
With their investment money. So we're definitely seeing that.
And we have seen, like, very recently, I think yesterday or a couple of days ago, that the Financial Services Authority issued a decision that listed companies need to adhere to the international standards of sustainability reporting gradually between now and up to 2029. How would you link, investing in your founders, for example, with listed companies that want to do this as a part of their sustainability reporting?
Absolutely. Great question. All of our founders have to create what we call an ESG business case for themselves. And they themselves have to make the case as to how adhering to ESG, environmental, social, and governance principles make them more competitive advantage, give them more competitive advantage, make them more competitive. Now, by doing so, they embrace the fact that as a good employer, as a good neighbor in the community, I'm going to increase my revenue at the same time as I do good. So corporations that bring those small businesses into their value chains are actually greening their own value chains, right? And that has a significant impact on their sustainability reporting. So that's the linkages there. And I think that's really exciting. One of the best things is when the founder gets it.
Yes.
And they understand why we say governance, for instance. Governance is more than just paying taxes and posse. Governance is having internal structures and policies that promote fair, transparent employment practices, right? Internal policies that dictate KPIs and dictate sales objectives. So that's governance. It makes them stronger as a founder and as an SME. And it makes them more valuable in the value chain of a larger corporate.
And, that's truly exciting indeed to find out founders who really get it. What is the purpose, for example, of sustainability? Can you share with us like clear examples where you were so happy to see that founders really got the purpose of everything you're doing? Because as someone leading this accelerator program, you have so much responsibility, right? Reviewing the financial performance, you reviewing, more importantly, the character of the founders, and reporting with stakeholders. But also, you are doing this, out of the purpose is to produce really responsible founders for not only for Oman but for the world. So, are there any really small instances and examples where you say, this makes everything that I'm doing worth it?
Oh, many. Hadija, who would yell at me, Mr. Bill, your little numbers are driving me crazy. And she's referring to the cash flow in an Excel spreadsheet. And then down the line, she'll call me up and say, Mr. Bill, can we sit down and go over my cash flow? So that made a big impact upon me. So many founders have said, you blew my mind. You opened up my mind to what I can do easily in terms of market research. We would go through examples of looking for contacts in certain industries in Oman and using LinkedIn. And just doing that. And people say, I had no idea I could do that, to get to decision makers in businesses who would meet with me and then determine if there's a fit with their company and who in that organization do I need to meet with. So that was a big deal when they understood that who do I talk to? It's probably not someone at the front desk. It's someone through my network. And this building that network has been very powerful for everyone. I've gotten a lot of feedback on that.
Would you say building network? Would you say that building a network is a point of strength with naturally within the founders you're working with?
I think so. I mean, Omanis in general tend to be social, right? And doors open easy in Oman. So one of the strengths is that people really realize that and they internalize that and they get that. That if I'm not taking advantage of my network, I'm losing opportunity.
And is the community engagement part important for your founders as environmental, as green tech entrepreneurs? And are they doing that well, the community engagement part?
I think so. And they acknowledge, for instance, there might be a green premium in pricing. I can use plastic, or can I use a naturally made product that's using Oman resources? There might be an increase in the price, a green premium. And I think they get that. Everyone gets that. And moreover, they understand how to communicate that to the market so that the market understands that this is more healthy, for instance.
Who are some of the stars that, from your cohorts so far? Can you tell us about a couple or three of them?
Absolutely. So we're making egg crates for the egg producers out in Barca out of recycled paper. Right? We're making oil-based mud out of date oil. We are making a varnish that uses frankincense. So that's a commercialization of a natural resource. We have frankincense, put that into a varnish, which the testing shows it repels termites, which if you see my ability, you can understand that's a problem, right? So we're seeing that in common goods. We're seeing the use of potatoes. Oman has 2.4 million kilograms of waste potatoes every year. And some of that can be commercialized to make a glass cleaner that repels condensation. So those are some of the things that come immediately to mind.
And is this also contributing to in-country value and, for example, some of these products that were maybe imported before, Does this mean that, for example, for egg crates or for the varnish, does this mean that your founders are also playing into the in-country value of some of their clients in the energy field or in the industry field?
That's the goal. That's one of the goals, is to do what we say import substitution. We see that with water filters. So historically, water filters are made from plastic, and we're increasingly concerned that plastic is getting into our bodies. Yeah. So why not use a clay-based water filter made from clay in Oman with palm fronds? So what we're doing there is we are substituting the imports. When the market becomes more aware of the health benefits, then the imports are going to decrease. Absolutely.
That would really contribute to Oman 2040 vision.
I think that should be one of our main goals. And for instance, fertilizer. All of our fertilizer in all of the nurseries comes from the EU. And so there is an education there we can easily make fertilizer from all the food waste we have in Oman, but we need to communicate that to the market. And then we start decreasing the imports.
And then you mentioned earlier that you just had a demo day about a month ago. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us more about where EIO is right now, and how's the momentum gathering around your efforts?
It was a great pitch event or demo day, and thank you for coming to that. That's when those that are most qualified and have the product developed, they have achieved what we call MVP, minimum viable product, which means has all the characteristics necessary to go to market. Not all of them are to that point. We had several that realized I could try to go to market right now, but I'd rather do some more R&D. And that's fine. We don't force people. We want all of them to pitch and all of them exhibited. But those that pitch are those that actually have achieved an MVP. And we embrace the technology as well. So we have one company that has an online platform for the buying and selling of waste. Now that's diverting waste from the landfill to people that are buying it to recycle it in their processes. And we have the water filter company that also pitched, and an exciting company that is commercializing that construction and demolition waste. And they're making a product called cold asphalt, which is used to, make asphalt in parking lots and make repairs.
And it's quite interesting, these demo days, right? And a lot of people see them as part of the key performance indicators of an accelerator. But I'm sure you're also looking beyond the demo day, even for the ones, for example, who are not successful in attracting investment. Do you think they also gain from the experience of, some people might call it not being successful or failure? And there is a lot of discussion sometimes in the Omani community about how societally accepted it is to fail as a founder, as an entrepreneur. How do you deal with this as a leader of an accelerator, that that on your cohort, not all of them are going to, have the same level of success?
I handle it very diplomatically. We acknowledge that from the start. We talk about, all entrepreneurs probably fail at some point. All SMEs, large percentage, fail. But we're still going to keep trying. And entrepreneurs keep trying. Maybe the first product didn't work. Maybe the second doesn't work. Maybe the third is the home run. So the fact that they've gone through an accelerator has broadened their horizons. So they understand that this is a viable pathway for me. Maybe it's not today or tomorrow. And many entrepreneurs keep that in the back of their mind. So maybe they keep tinkering, keep inventing, innovating while they have a corporate or government job. So we've planted seeds, and those seeds are still there. I firmly believe that. And that's the message to everyone in the accelerator, is take from this the fact that you have more options now. The world's your oyster, as we say.
Yeah. You brought up a really wonderful metaphor, which is planting an entrepreneurial seed into entrepreneurs' minds. And looking at that metaphor, what do you think is next to help these seeds, grow even more? You have messages, and talk to us about where you see in your journey what is next for you would like to accomplish, and do you have messages for stakeholders who could make these plants grow healthier and better, and what can they do for to so that all of us can contribute to building a stronger green tech ecosystem?
Absolutely. Personally, I would like to expand this throughout the MENA region. I would like to have EcoInnovate Morocco, EcoInnovate Egypt. I think it's very easy today to get fixated on tech, on fintech, on software as a service, on ERP systems, on creating software and platforms. I think that's an easy thing to focus on. I would prefer that we keep an open mind that there's green tech out there, that there's ways to commercialize areas like Sultanate that might have some water that's contaminated with the sea. So there's things we can grow there to make products to commercialize those. Now, that's not a lot of tech, but there's still viable business models that create jobs and create wealth for Omanis. So I think we have to keep that in mind and not just get so focused on tech and tech funds to the exclusion that we don't have a green fund that funds, most of these climate tech, clean tech, green tech, agri-tech types of business models that are still very valuable, right? But they might not be AI. They're not bricks and mortar, but they're not tech. They're growing these products using our natural resources or challenges we have to make the commercial products. And so I think that's my next step, is ensuring that there's a fund to do that there's venture capital that has a specific goal in mind of circular economy and sustainability.
Well, Bill, giving your track record, everything that you've been doing in the Sultanate of Oman since 2006 with advising financial institutions to building, one of the first funds with the help of corporates like Shell, Grufel Fund, and working on starting the first accelerator and attracting grants. I would say that your next step, inshallah, will also be successful. And to me, it's very heartwarming to see people like you here in Oman with us, dedicating their life, their time, their extremely valuable knowledge into transferring very valuable hard and soft skills because they want to grow and see people around them grow as well. And you've helped hundreds of founders and their team, open up their homes, start families. You change the way they think so that they care about people, planet, as well as profit, as they say. And most importantly, you have not only planted seeds in young people and Gen Z's minds, it's very important also that you've planted the seed in the corporate one's mind, that we need also to dedicate resources to sustainability, from working together with financial institutions, leading companies such as OMIFCO, BP, and now with the Oman Investment Authority and its environmental arm, BIA. We are very proud of having people like you who are contributing positively to making all of this happen. So I have no doubt in my mind that inshallah your next step would be as successful.
Inshallah, it's an honor to live here, to be very honest. So as we say, Oman gets in your blood. And I first came here in 2006 and I returned in 2010 and I haven't left. So it's an absolute honor to work here and be amongst such amazing people.
Alhamdulillah, and we're so proud to have you. Any last messages that you think we don't hear enough in the Omani community regarding startups ecosystem in general?
Oman is an amazing starting pad, but we can't limit ourselves to Oman, right? We have to think globally, right? And it's absolutely possible to do that. What's the saying? Think locally, act globally.
Globally.
Right.
And I see the world as our market.
Absolutely. I think that would be my advice.
Well, Bill, you are a person of principles and purpose, and you've lived those principles and purposes in practice. And we wish you all the best, not only with EcoInnovate Oman, but with everything you're doing in Oman, inshallah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Business Class Podcast.
Thank you so much.